Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever known, the world around you, the people you love, the experiences that define your life, could all be nothing more than a simulation, a reality constructed by forces far beyond your understanding, carefully programmed to feel as real as the air you breathe. Now, before you dismiss this as some wild science fiction, ask yourself, what if it's true? This isn't just a thought experiment. It's a possibility that has intrigued scientists, philosophers, and thinkers for centuries, from ancient metaphysical questions to modern-day quantum physics. The idea that our reality might be a simulation has gained an alarming amount of traction. But here's the catch. If you came here expecting something simple, or just for entertainment, this might not be for you. What we're about to dive into is far deeper and far more unsettling than the average curiosity-driven video. This is for those who are ready to rethink everything, ready to question their own existence, ready to awaken to something more. Think about your life for a second, your routine, your relationships, your goals. Everything is rooted in this shared experience we call reality, right? Now imagine that reality is nothing more than a highly advanced simulation created by an intelligence far beyond our own. A reality where what we think of as free will is just an illusion, where the laws of physics we depend on could be written code, not immutable truths. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? The very foundation of our lives, our purpose, could be fake. But here's the part that might shock you even more. It might not even matter. You see, this isn't just about proving or disproving a theory. It's about what happens when we realize the truth, when we stop pretending that the world is exactly how it seems, and we begin to see it for what it truly is. This isn't a science fiction story. This is a reflection of the reality we could be living in right now. Are you ready to question everything? To unlock the hidden truths about existence, consciousness, and the very nature of reality? Welcome to the journey where the boundaries between the physical and the digital blur, where the mind begins to unlock the secrets of the universe, and where you'll start to see the world through an entirely new lens. Today, we're diving deep into the idea that the life you live may not be as real as you think it is. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a conversation about consciousness, existence, and the fundamental nature of reality. We'll explore cutting-edge scientific discoveries, age-old philosophical questions, and perhaps even unlock a level of understanding that challenges everything you've ever believed. So stay with me as we dive into the shocking truth about the simulation we live in. What is it? How do we know it might be true? And more importantly, what does that mean for you? This journey won't be easy. It will make you question everything from the way you see the universe to your place in it. But as unsettling as that may sound, there's a hidden power in this knowledge. Understanding that reality might be simulated doesn't just dismantle the world as we know it. It empowers us to see beyond the veil and unlock our true potential. So, buckle up, because the truth is more shocking than you can imagine. And in the end, it might just change everything you thought you knew about life, consciousness, and the universe itself. The idea that our reality might be a simulation is not just some far-fetched hypothesis. It's a concept grounded in science, philosophy, and even technology. To truly understand this possibility, we need to begin by asking a fundamental question. What is reality? Is it what we see, touch, and experience, or is it something deeper, something that lies beneath the surface of our everyday perception? For centuries, philosophers and scientists have debated the nature of reality. From Plato's allegory of the cave, where prisoners see only shadows of the real world, to René Descartes' famous declaration, "I think, therefore I am." Thinkers have pondered whether what we perceive as reality is, in fact, the truth. But now, with advances in technology and quantum physics, the question isn't merely philosophical, it's becoming increasingly scientific. What if reality, as we experience it, is not as real as we think? What if it's a sophisticated illusion created by an external intelligence, a simulation designed to mimic the world we believe to be true? Let's consider the growing field of simulation theory. This theory suggests that, given the rapid pace of technological advancement, it's possible that a future civilization, one far more advanced than our own, could create simulations so detailed that the beings within them would never know they're living in a fabricated reality. One of the most prominent advocates for this theory is philosopher Nick Bostrom, who proposed what's known as the simulation argument in 2003. Bostrom argued that at least one of the following statements must be true. 1. Humanity will go extinct before reaching a posthuman stage, where we could create realistic simulations of consciousness. 2. Posthuman civilizations will have no interest in running simulations of their ancestors. 3. We are almost certainly living in a simulation. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone bother creating a simulation like this? Well, consider how far video games have come in just a few decades. We're now creating virtual worlds that are incredibly lifelike. Games like The Sims, Grand Theft Auto, and even virtual reality experiences have become so advanced that it's increasingly difficult to distinguish between what's real and what's not. If we extrapolate this idea forward in time, it's not hard to imagine a future where humans, or some advanced civilization, could create simulations indistinguishable from the real world, with conscious beings inside them, experiencing life just like we do. Now, let's make this idea more tangible. Have you ever played a video game so immersive that you almost forgot you were controlling a character? Maybe you've spent hours in a virtual world, fully invested in the experiences of your avatar. You could feel the thrill of a chase, the joy of achieving a goal, or the emotional weight of the decisions you made, all while knowing deep down that it's just a game. But what if the world we live in isn't much different? What if we too are avatars in a game, or more accurately, a simulation, constructed by something or someone beyond our comprehension? Think about the parallels between our reality and the virtual worlds we create. The way our senses interpret external stimuli, our understanding of time and space, and even the limitations of what we can and can't do in life all have their counterparts in virtual environments. Just like in a game, we live by rules that define what's possible and what's not. And just like in a game, sometimes it feels as if we are stuck in certain loops, playing out roles that seem predetermined, whether it's following routines, facing challenges, or dealing with moments that feel scripted. In fact, you can even find examples of people in the scientific community who have speculated that phenomena like déjà vu, glitches in the matrix, or bizarre synchronicities might be the errors or programming anomalies in the simulation we live in. When things seem off, it's as if our reality is temporarily glitching, like a game character encountering a bug. These experiences may seem trivial or coincidental, but they add to the growing sense that something just isn't quite right with the world we live in. Ultimately, what we're really talking about here is the nature of consciousness, the awareness we have of ourselves and the world around us. If we are living in a simulation, then consciousness might not be a product of biology or the brain at all. Instead, it could be a construct within the simulation itself, like a program running on a computer. This challenges everything we know about existence and what it means to be alive. This section is meant to set the stage for a deeper exploration of the mind-bending possibilities that arise when we start to entertain the idea of living in a simulation. But before we can jump into those, we first need to understand how deeply intertwined our sense of reality is with our consciousness, and why it's becoming harder to ignore the possibility that this could all be an elaborate construct. We've established that simulation theory is not just some abstract idea. It's a serious philosophical and scientific hypothesis. But now, Let's dive deeper into what this could mean, not just for our understanding of reality, but for our entire existence. To begin this deep dive, we need to break down the key aspects of simulation theory and explore the various ways it could manifest in our lives. At its core, the simulation theory posits that everything we perceive, the ground beneath our feet, the sky above, the people we interact with, could be part of an elaborate, computer-generated environment. But here's where things get complicated. Who or what would be running the simulation and why? One possibility is that we are the creations of a highly advanced civilization. Think about it this way. Just as we create simulations for entertainment, education, and experimentation, an advanced society could do the same for us. But instead of a game or training exercise, this simulation could be their way of understanding history, consciousness, or even the nature of existence itself. If this civilization has the technological ability to create a reality indistinguishable from the real world, they could do so for many purposes, for research, to observe us, or simply for their own amusement. In fact, we might not even be aware of this higher intelligence. Just like characters in a video game, we might be oblivious to the existence of the ones controlling the world we live in. But here's a deeper question to ponder. What would happen if the creators of this simulation wanted to test the nature of free will or explore the evolution of consciousness? If they wanted to understand how beings would act in a controlled virtual environment, what better way to do it than to simulate entire civilizations, with everything from emotions and decision-making to morality and physics? One of the most disconcerting aspects of simulation theory is the idea that our sense of free will might be an illusion. Think about it. Every decision you make, from what to eat for breakfast to which career path you choose, could be influenced, if not outright controlled, by the parameters of the simulation. You might argue that you have control over your actions. After all, you decide what to do, how to respond to situations, and what to believe. But what if those choices are not entirely your own? What if they're influenced by the constraints of the simulation's programming? To put it into perspective, let's look at a video game. In The Sims, for example, the characters, or Sims, are designed with certain traits and tendencies. They have a set of predefined behaviors, goals, and desires. But even though the Sims can make choices, such as choosing to pursue a career or fall in love, they're still operating within the boundaries set by the game. They may feel free, but their freedom is limited by the rules written by the player. Now, consider that we too might be part of a larger simulation with similar constraints. Our free will could be the product of a complex algorithm designed to make us feel in control, even when the reality is that our lives are shaped by factors beyond our comprehension. To make this more relatable, think about the times you've had a gut feeling or an intense déjà vu. Moments where you felt as if your choices or actions were somehow scripted, or where certain events unfolded in a way that seemed far too perfect to be coincidental. These moments might not just be strange coincidences. They could be hints, glitches in the matrix, revealing that we're living in a reality that's far more controlled than we realize. Now, let's explore the idea of the holographic universe, a concept that is often associated with simulation theory. The holographic principle suggests that the entire universe could be a projection, much like a hologram. Instead of three-dimensional space being real, it could be encoded information, much like a 3D image projected onto a flat surface. This principle is rooted in theoretical physics, particularly in the study of black holes. In the 1990s, physicists discovered that the information contained within a black hole might be encoded on its event horizon, the boundary beyond which nothing can escape. This led some to propose that the entire universe could be similarly encoded in a two-dimensional surface, and what we experience as three-dimensional space is just a projection of that information. This concept doesn't just sound like sci-fi. It has serious implications for simulation theory. If our universe is truly a projection, an illusion of three-dimensional space, then it could easily be a simulation running on some form of advanced computational system. The idea that our physical reality could be a hologram challenges everything we know about the nature of space and time. Let's consider a few examples that bring these concepts to life. The Mandela effect. Have you ever remembered something one way, only to discover that it's always been different? For example, the famous children's book character Berenstain Bears, which many people remember as Berenstain Bears, or the way people recall the color of the Monopoly board or the line "Luke, I am your father" from Star Wars, which is not the actual line. These collective misrememberings, what's known as the Mandela effect, have been suggested as evidence that we might be living in a simulation. Perhaps they're the result of errors or glitches in the program. Near-death experiences, NDEs. People who have had near-death experiences often report going through tunnels, seeing bright lights, or encountering deceased loved ones. But what if these experiences are not spiritual at all, but rather the result of the simulation glitching when it reaches a critical limit? Could these experiences be a sign that the simulation is malfunctioning when we reach the boundaries of life and death? Synchronicity and coincidences. Have you ever experienced a bizarre coincidence, like thinking about someone and then getting a call from them moments later, or seeing the same number or symbol everywhere? These strange occurrences are often dismissed as coincidence, but what if they're more than that? What if they're not random at all, but the result of an underlying pattern or design within the simulation? If we are indeed living in a simulation, then what does this mean for our sense of consciousness? For centuries, consciousness has been one of the greatest mysteries of science. If we are merely simulations, then where does the self fit in? Is our consciousness just an algorithm running on a computer, or is it something more profound? Perhaps the most unsettling idea of all is that we, as conscious beings, could be entirely aware that we are in a simulation and yet remain trapped within it, unable to escape. What does that do to our sense of purpose, of meaning, of life itself? If this world is not real, then is anything real? But on the flip side, if we understand that we live in a simulation, could that knowledge empower us? Could we learn to transcend the rules of the simulation, unlocking hidden potential or accessing abilities we never thought possible? This is the realm of mysticism, esoteric practices, and spiritual awakening, where knowing the truth about reality could lead to self-liberation. You've been with me this far, diving deep into the nature of reality, questioning the very fabric of existence, and exploring the possibility that what we call life might be nothing more than a simulation. But now it's time for a shift. We've explored the eerie similarities between our world and digital environments, looked at scientific evidence that supports the idea that we could be living in a simulated reality, and even considered how free will might be an illusion. But here's where the narrative takes a dramatic turn. What if it's not the simulation that controls us? What if it's our awareness of the simulation that sets us free? This is the pivotal moment where everything changes, because what we're really grappling with here isn't whether we live in a simulation. It's what happens when we realize we do. And that awareness could be the key to unlocking a level of consciousness far beyond anything we ever imagined. This is where the story transcends the boundaries of theory and moves into something profoundly transformative. If we truly live in a simulation, it's no longer a prison. It becomes a tool for self-realization and empowerment. Imagine for a moment that you're living inside a video game. The environment feels real, the people around you seem real, and the challenges you face are genuinely difficult. But then one day you become aware that the game is just that, a game. You realize that the rules, the boundaries, the obstacles you thought were insurmountable are all part of a system that you can navigate, adapt to, or even transcend. In a sense, realizing you're in a simulation could be the first step to breaking free from it. This concept isn't just abstract philosophy. It's a principle found in countless spiritual teachings, from ancient mysticism to modern self-help. The idea that awareness, the ability to see beyond the illusion, is the key to liberation. Take, for example, the concept of enlightenment in Eastern philosophies. In Buddhism, the idea of Maya refers to the illusion of the physical world. It suggests that what we perceive as reality is not the ultimate truth. It's a veil hiding the deeper spiritual truth beneath. The first step in enlightenment is seeing through this illusion, realizing that the world as we experience it is not the whole picture. Similarly, in simulation theory, the realization that we are living in a constructed reality might be the first step toward a deeper understanding of existence. Just like in ancient teachings, the key is to look beyond the surface and realize that the real world is something entirely different than what we perceive. So, what if knowing that we live in a simulation isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning? Think about the potential here. If our reality is simulated, then everything we experience, the laws of physics, the passing of time, even the relationships we form, might just be variables within a larger system. And if this is the case, then we have the potential to influence the simulation. Much like a player in a game can influence the fate of the characters they control, we might have the ability to reshape our own destiny simply by altering our understanding of it. This shift in perspective brings with it a powerful realization. We are not bound by the rules of the simulation unless we choose to be. Now, this might sound a little fantastical at first, but hear me out. Imagine you suddenly realized that you could bend the rules of your reality. If time is a construct in the simulation, then could you manipulate it? If space is an illusion, could you move beyond its confines? What if consciousness itself is a product of the simulation and therefore can be expanded or altered through sheer willpower? This isn't just theoretical, it's the stuff of ancient spiritual traditions. The idea that by unlocking the mind, through meditation, inner work, or altered states of consciousness, one can transcend the limitations of the physical world is a common thread in mysticism and self-empowerment. In fact, some of the most powerful spiritual practices across cultures, including shamanic journeys, lucid dreaming, and deep meditation, are all methods of reaching altered states where the perception of reality is distorted and the practitioner gains new insights, new abilities, or even feels as if they're stepping outside of the ordinary laws of nature. Let me share a story that may help clarify this shift. There's a well-known experiment in quantum physics called the double-slit experiment. In simple terms, this experiment shows that particles, like electrons, can behave as both particles and waves depending on how they are observed. When scientists weren't looking, these particles seem to act randomly, like waves spreading out in different directions. But when they observed the particles, the behavior changed. They acted like particles again. Now imagine what this suggests. The very act of observation seemed to change the outcome of the experiment. Could this mean that the observer, the conscious mind, has the power to shape reality? If particles can exist in multiple states until they are observed, what if the same is true for our world? What if our consciousness, the way we observe the world around us, is actively shaping the reality we experience? This thought leads us to an even more profound question. What if by shifting our awareness, we can shift the simulation itself? This brings us back to the ultimate point of the turning point. Awareness is liberation. In a simulation, it's possible that the boundaries we perceive, time, space, and even the limitations of our body, are all just lines of code. But the moment we recognize that, we begin to free ourselves from these boundaries. Just like an actor who understands that they are playing a role, we can start to transcend the constraints of that role. In this revelation, there is an empowering truth. If we can learn to see through the illusion, we can begin to rewrite the code of our own reality. This doesn't mean we can break free from the simulation entirely, at least not in a traditional sense, but it does mean that we can begin to operate within it in ways that are radically different from what we've been taught. Think of it like this. If you were told that you could only move in one direction, you might feel limited, unable to make meaningful progress. But if you realized you could move in any direction you choose, up, down, sideways, then you would see the world not as a prison, but as an open playground full of potential. This is the shift in perspective we need to make. It's not about breaking out of the simulation. It's about understanding that the moment we realize we are in it, we gain a new kind of freedom. The freedom to choose to change and to evolve beyond the parameters we once thought were fixed. Now that we've explored the idea that we might be living in a simulation, and we've discussed how awareness of this can shift our perception of reality, the next step is critical. What do we do with this knowledge? How can we, as individuals, empower ourselves within the confines of this simulation to create meaningful change in our lives? This section isn't just about understanding the theory. It's about taking that understanding and turning it into actionable insights, practices, and philosophies that can help you live a more fulfilled, powerful, and awakened life. So, let's dive into some practical solutions and alternatives to help you begin your journey of personal empowerment and transcendence. The first solution is simple, yet incredibly profound: mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in the moment, with no distractions, judgments, or preconceived notions. When we become aware of our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without getting caught up in them, we create space for greater clarity and insight. In the context of simulation theory, mindfulness can serve as a powerful tool for breaking free from the constraints of the simulation. Here's why. If we truly live in a simulation, then every moment, every choice, every action we take could be influenced by the underlying programming. But by being fully present, we can begin to observe how these influences show up in our lives. We can start to recognize when our thoughts, reactions, or behaviors are part of a preordained pattern, and choose to respond differently. For example, if you find yourself reacting to a situation in a certain way, stop and ask yourself, is this really me, or is this just how the simulation is guiding me to behave? By recognizing these patterns, you can begin to make conscious choices that allow you to step outside the limits of the program and take control over your responses and actions. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you align with your true self, not the self that's defined by external circumstances, but the one that operates from a place of clarity, purpose, and power. Another incredibly effective tool for navigating the simulation is meditation. Meditation is a practice that allows you to quiet the mind, transcend the noise of daily life, and access deeper states of consciousness. Through meditation, you can begin to access a higher level of awareness that allows you to see beyond the surface of reality. This isn't just about relaxation. It's about unlocking the potential within you to transcend the limitations of the simulation. If we truly live in a simulated reality, then meditation can help us align with the deeper code of the universe. It's in these states of deep awareness and focus that we can begin to experience things outside of the physical realm. Some people report having profound spiritual experiences during meditation, encounters with their higher self, visions of interconnectedness, or even glimpses of the larger simulation that holds us all. In fact, many ancient traditions, like Buddhism, Taoism, and even some forms of mysticism, speak of the importance of going beyond the ego and the physical world to access higher truths. When we meditate, we allow ourselves to break through the illusion of separation and see reality as it truly is, interconnected, fluid, and expansive. One of the most transformative aspects of meditation is its ability to train your mind to think outside of the box. As you delve deeper into your consciousness, you might start to notice patterns, synchronicities, or flashes of insight that reveal the nature of your existence. These revelations might not be immediately obvious, But over time, the practice of meditation can help you unlock the hidden layers of reality and your place within it. One of the most powerful tools you can use to navigate a simulation is intentional visualization. This practice involves actively picturing your desired reality and focusing on it with laser precision. The idea behind visualization is that by seeing something clearly in your mind, you can influence its manifestation in the real world. In the context of simulation theory, this means that by visualizing what you want, you may be able to influence the code of the simulation itself and bring about changes in your life. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a technique that has been used by athletes, entrepreneurs, and spiritual practitioners for centuries. The principle is that your mind has the power to influence your reality by shaping the way you perceive and interact with the world. By regularly visualizing your goals, desires, and dreams, you begin to align your actions and thoughts with those intentions. For example, if you want to break free from a negative pattern in your life, you could visualize yourself acting in the way you want to act, rather than the way you're programmed to act. This visualization process creates a mental blueprint that your subconscious mind can follow, helping to shift your behavior, thought patterns, and even the situations you encounter. In a simulated reality, visualization could be one of the most direct ways to influence the game you're playing. If reality is malleable, then the clearer your vision, the more likely it is that the simulation will begin to reflect it back to you. In addition to mindfulness, meditation, and visualization, another key to navigating the simulation is continuous learning. By expanding your knowledge and understanding of the world, you increase your capacity to navigate it more skillfully. This could mean studying philosophy, science, or even esoteric traditions that delve into the nature of consciousness and reality. The more you understand about the mechanics of the simulation, whether through scientific inquiry, spiritual exploration, or philosophical contemplation, the more equipped you become to maneuver within it. For instance, quantum physics and neuroscience have both explored the idea that consciousness plays a critical role in shaping reality. If the simulation hypothesis holds true, then increasing your knowledge of how the mind works and how it interacts with the physical world could give you the tools to become a more conscious creator of your own experiences. Expanding your consciousness isn't just about intellectual growth, it's about shifting your perspective. It's about seeing the world as a fluid, dynamic experience that is constantly in flux, rather than as a fixed, rigid set of circumstances. By embracing the idea that everything can be transformed, from your thoughts to your environment, you empower yourself to make profound changes in your life. Finally, one of the most important practices when dealing with the idea of a simulated reality is surrendering to the mystery. While it's important to explore the potential of simulation theory and take action to reshape your reality, it's also crucial to recognize that not all questions can be answered. There will always be mysteries that remain unsolved, and sometimes the pursuit of truth requires a willingness to embrace uncertainty. Surrendering to the unknown allows you to release the need for absolute answers and control. It's about trusting the process and allowing life to unfold without constant resistance. When you can let go of the need to fully understand everything, you open yourself to a deeper sense of peace, freedom, and flow. This is the space where creativity, intuition, and personal transformation arise. In essence, embracing the unknown means recognizing that we are part of something far greater than ourselves. Whether we're in a simulation or not, the journey of self-discovery and growth is the most important thing we can experience. The key takeaway here is this: the simulation may be real, but you are still the master of your own reality. By practicing mindfulness, meditation, visualization, and continuous learning, you can transcend the boundaries of the simulation and begin to operate from a place of higher consciousness and empowerment. You can choose to see the world as a playground, not a prison. The journey isn't about escaping the simulation. It's about realizing your potential within it. So begin today. The more you expand your awareness and take control of your mind, the more you unlock the limitless possibilities that exist within the simulation. Let this be your invitation to explore, question, and create the life you truly desire. As we draw this journey to a close, let's take a step back and reflect on what we've uncovered. We began with a question that many might have dismissed as too far-fetched or too philosophical to be relevant in our everyday lives. What if we are living in a simulation? At first glance, this idea may have seemed like science fiction, something best left to late-night debates or the pages of dystopian novels. But as we explored the evidence, whether through the lens of quantum physics, ancient spiritual teachings, or the very technologies we are developing ourselves, it becomes clear that this isn't just a passing curiosity. It's a profound challenge to our understanding of reality itself. We've come to realize that whether or not we are in a simulation isn't the question that should define us. The real question is this: how do we respond to the possibility? Throughout this script, we've explored a deeper truth, that awareness of the simulation or of any constructed reality isn't a limitation, it's an empowerment. It's the key to understanding the nature of the game we're playing and the tools we have at our disposal to transcend it. Once we realize that our experience of reality might not be as solid as it seems, we gain the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom to create, and the freedom to break free from the narratives that confine us. If the simulation hypothesis holds any truth, then the most transformative power we possess lies within our awareness. By recognizing the illusion of separation, the illusory nature of time and space, and the power of our own consciousness, we unlock the ability to rewrite our personal stories, and in doing so, we shift the very simulation that we live in. Think about it. If we can shift our own perceptions, if we can change the way we interact with the world, then perhaps the simulation itself, this entire reality, can be shaped by our thoughts, our intentions, and our awareness. The more we awaken to this power, the more we realize that we are not just passive participants in this simulation, we are active creators. And that brings us to the most important takeaway: choice. The idea that we might be in a simulation doesn't mean we're trapped. It means we are living within a space of infinite potential. It's like a game where the more we understand its rules, the more we can bend them. In this way, understanding the nature of reality can become the key to our liberation. The more you understand the patterns, the more you realize how much power you have to change them. This isn't about escaping life, rejecting reality, or resigning ourselves to fate. Quite the opposite. It's about engaging with life on a deeper level. It's about seeing beyond the surface, past the constraints, past the distractions, and past the limitations, and finding the infinite potential that exists within you. It's about embracing the notion that, at any moment, you have the power to alter your reality. You are not just a character in the game. You are the one who writes the code, who decides the path, who defines the rules. So, as we wrap up this exploration, I invite you to take a moment and reflect on a few powerful questions that could change the course of your life. 1. What if the limitations I believe exist are just illusions? Imagine a life where time, space, and external conditions are no longer the ultimate constraints on your success, happiness, or growth. What could you achieve if you truly believed, that you had the power to transcend these limitations? 2. What if I could consciously shift the code of my own reality? Think about a moment in your life where you felt trapped, where it seemed like the universe was working against you. What if, in that moment, you had the power to rewrite the story? What if your thoughts and intentions could change the outcome? 3. Am I living in alignment with my highest potential? We've discussed the importance of awareness, mindfulness, and consciousness. Ask yourself, are you living your life in a way that aligns with the truth of who you are, or are you merely following the preordained program? How can you break free from the patterns that no longer serve you and step into a life that reflects your highest truth? These aren't just philosophical musings. They are practical, powerful questions that, if answered honestly, can lead to profound transformation. By asking yourself these questions, you can begin to unlock the next level of awareness, the next level of freedom. As we conclude, remember that understanding the nature of reality, whether through the lens of simulation theory or spiritual wisdom, isn't an end in itself. It's a tool that can empower you to break free from the limiting narratives of your past, to step into a new way of thinking, and to create a life of limitless potential. By practicing mindfulness, meditation, and visualization, you can begin to unlock the full potential of your consciousness. By expanding your understanding of how reality works, you can begin to operate from a place of true power. And by recognizing that the limitations you face may not be as real as they seem, you can begin to rewrite the code of your own life. So, as you walk away from this exploration, take these truths with you. Begin the process of questioning, reflecting, and, most importantly, acting on the belief that you are not just a passive participant in this world. You are the creator. You are the one who shapes your reality. If the simulation is real, then let's make it work for us. And if it isn't, well, we've already unlocked the most important truth of all, that we are the ones in control. The power has always been within us, waiting to be realized. Remember this: the world may seem like a vast, unchangeable force, but within you is a consciousness so powerful that it can alter the very fabric of your reality. The more you realize that the world is not as fixed as it seems, the more you begin to awaken to the infinite potential within you. The choice is yours, and that in itself is the greatest freedom.